Live from Connecticut's newsroom. Now, the news at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brent Hart.
And I'm Allison Morris. First on Fox, what is in the water in Killingworth tonight? Environmental police are testing water from Chatfield Hollow State Park over fears that it could be poisoned.
Yeah, Madison man is in custody for making that threat. Fox Connecticut's Louisa Moeller joins us live from the now closed park with all the details. Louisa.
Well, Brent, Allison, DEP Environmental Conservation Police arrested 55-year-old Wade Isaacson from Madison right here at Chatfield Hollow State Park earlier on today. Now, police say Isaacson is responsible for sending several threatening emails to DEP employees, one of them saying that he was going to poison the water here at the park. They sent ENCON police down here. They arrested Isaacson and sent them to test the water. That's when they came away. They are in the midst of testing the water as we speak. They said they'll come back with the results tomorrow. In the meantime, the park is not open to the public for swimming or anyone who wants to come here. And Isaacson is being charged with breach of peace, threatening, and making terrorist threats. We have very little information about what this man may have put in the water, if anything. But as soon as we get that information, we'll certainly bring it to you. We're live here in Killingworth. Louisa Moeller, Fox, Connecticut.
Louisa, thank you. Parts of another state park remain closed tonight as efforts are stepped up to get rid of a deadly virus-carrying mosquito.
Tonight, DEP agents sprayed parts of the Patchogue State Forest with pesticides in hopes of stopping the spread of eastern equine encephalitis. Fox Connecticut's Javon Vital was with crews on the front line tonight.
This cloud of pesticides are the solution to a potentially deadly problem.
It's gotten to that next level now where you've got infected, mammal-biting adult mosquitoes flying around, and we want to knock them down. We want to try to suppress that.
Department of Energy and Environmental Protection crews are going around the Patchogue State Forest to spray for mosquitoes which may be carrying the eastern equine encephalitis virus. The disease is a deadly one with no known cure or vaccine. It spreads quickly through mosquitoes, and 3 out of every 10 humans infected die, while the others suffer severe brain injuries. For horses, the mortality rate is almost 100%, a story Patricia Tanner knows all too well.
I just didn't know what to think. I'm not going to that forest anymore.
Patricia's been living across the street from the forest for more than 40 years, and she lost a horse to the disease.
They can't stand, and they get to go down, and it bothers their brain and everything. So I had to have it put away and everything. It's a long time ago.
The Patchogue Forest is a huge piece of land, and while there's a lot of ground to cover, officials do acknowledge that this spraying won't necessarily eliminate the problem, but they are hoping it will contain it. In the meantime, the best way to fight off the mosquitoes is to take the right precautions.
We're confined within the state forest area. The campground areas within this park are closed for the foreseeable future, and we'll just go from there.
As scientists and crews here wait to see if Triple E remains a threat for this coming Labor Day weekend. In Voluntown, Javon Vital, Fox, Connecticut.
Chris Donovan's former campaign director broke his silence in a federal courtroom today, calling his colleague a rat.
Robert Braddock Jr. lashed out at campaign manager Joshua Nassy moments after learning he will spend the next 3 years behind bars. Braddock said FBI agents tried to get him to wear a wiretap and trap others involved in the campaign money scheme, but he refused. Braddock and 7 others hid the source of Donovan's campaign contributions in exchange for killing attacks on roll-your-own tobacco shops. Braddock was the only one to be tried. The others copped plea deals. Braddock heads to the Slammer in November.
Tomorrow morning, another step forward in the healing process for the East Haven families and neighborhood involved in a devastating plane crash earlier this month. The second home on Charter Oak Avenue, barely left standing after the accident, will be demolished. The other damaged home was torn down last week. 4 people, 2 children on the ground, plus the pilot and his son were killed when the plane came down. A leaky propane tank caused a deadly explosion that leveled a home in New Milford last year. Anthony Fertino and his son were helping a friend who owned the home on Sunny Valley Road when the blast occurred. Fertino was killed. His son and the homeowner were badly hurt. State police say the propane line was improperly capped 9 years earlier, and contractors opened it by accident. The men were investigating the smell when the vapors ignited. Connecticut roads are getting more and more dangerous for drivers, according to a just-released report.
In fact, 2 Connecticut cities rank among the worst in the nation. Fox Connecticut's Audrey Kuchin reports.
New Haven, Bridgeport, they landed the dubious distinction, not safe places to drive in the U.S. In fact, they're amongst the worst in the country when it comes to safe driving. That, according to the 9th annual Allstate America's Best Drivers Report.
No, it doesn't. Not the way they drive. It doesn't surprise me at all.
New Haven resident Fran Visicchio not shocked in the least by the latest findings of a report that ranks her hometown amongst the least safe driving cities in the nation.
Well, there have been several collisions on the highway. Everybody's in a hurry.
The report, based on Allstate claims data, ranks America's 200 largest cities in terms of car collision frequency. Bridgeport landed 11th on the list. That's worse than last year's ranking. New Haven came in at 12th worst in the country.
Based on the study, it looks like New Haven residents get into an accident every 6 or 7 years, a collision accident every 6 or 7 years, which basically means, unfortunately, the streets aren't getting safer, but there are some measures that residents should be taking to do their best to improve.
Angelo Visicchio would like drivers to focus on the road.
Do away with cell phones altogether, I think, when you're driving. Would solve the problem.
Distracted driving fines will increase in Connecticut come October 1st. Your first offense will cost you $150, tops out at $500. Hey, by the way, the year's top honor of America's safest driving city, Fort Collins, Colorado, for the 3rd year in a row. Audrey Kuchin, Fox, Connecticut.
Audrey, thank you. The Republican field for governor got a little more crowded today. A state senator from Wilton announced she's got her eyes set on the governor's mansion.
Republican Senator Tony Boucher from Wilton has formed an exploratory committee. Boucher has been a legislator since 1997 and most recently put up a strong fight against the legalization of medical marijuana. Before that, she spent 10 years on the Wilton School Board and Board of Selectmen. She says it's time to start thinking about a 2014 run because the state's economy is dismal at best.
I've never seen it this bad. Connecticut is at a tipping point. We have a very serious problem. I think it's incumbent upon those that know how we got into this mess and know how to fix it, to step up to the plate. They have a moral obligation to step up and try to do something about it.
Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton and Senate Republican leader John McKinney have already announced their plans to run. Political insiders also expect multimillionaire Tom Foley to run in a rematch against Governor Dannel Malloy. A regulation review committee gave its thumbs up today to the rules governing medical marijuana in Connecticut. Next month, the agency will collect applications for marijuana producer and dispensary licenses. The first licenses will be issued around the first of the year, with production starting 3 to 6 months later. Physicians have already certified more than 850 patients for the program.
Ready to go. All that's needed is a nod from the president. American warships in the Mediterranean on standby tonight, ready to take military action against Syria. Defense officials tell Fox News it's not a matter of if the U.S. takes action, but when. They also say Air Force standoff weapons like stealth bombers would likely be used and that the attack would last hours, not days. The president continues to review the options. Vice President Joe Biden says it's time to punish the regime that used chemical weapons against its own people.
And there is no doubt that an essential international norm has been violated. There is no doubt who is responsible for this heinous use of chemical weapons in Syria.
It's estimated Syrian President Bashar Assad has more than 100,000 tons of chemical weapons spread among 50 different sites. Any plans to secure them would require special operations and boots on the ground, as they say, neither of which is on the table right now, according to Pentagon officials. Senator Chris Murphy is calling for the Obama administration to exercise restraint in its decision-making. The Connecticut Democrat says there's little chance targeted airstrikes would destroy Syria's chemical weapons stockpiles. He believes an intervention could draw the U.S. into a wider conflict and says military action should not be taken without authorization from Congress. It appears the New York Times is already in a battle with supporters of Syria's president. The newspaper's website was hacked today, and a Syrian group aligned with President Bashar al-Assad is taking credit. Several Twitter users posted screenshots of the Times homepage that read, "Hacked by SEA." Today's outage is the site's second of the month.
Tonight, there are more photos of a bloodied and bruised Johar Tsarnaev the night the Boston bombing suspect was captured in Watertown. Boston Magazine has published 48 pictures taken by tactical photographer Sergeant Sean Murphy. Some of them were released in July after Tsarnaev appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, which Murphy called an insult. This new round of pictures are part of a story titled Behind the Scenes of the Hunt for Tsarnaev. They show a team of heavily armed officers moving toward the boat as Tsarnaev waves the white flag.
At its home port, New Haven, the Amistad is nowhere to be found. Instead, it's in Puerto Rico, part of a TV miniseries. But one state lawmaker says she was promised that wouldn't happen. Coming up, why she says that puts the ship at risk and should be concerning for taxpayers.
Pull up your pants, leave the profanity at the door, and get to class. New Britain's superintendent has another idea to keep students in line this year, and timing has everything to do with it.
Plus, dolphins dying up and down the East Coast, what may be killing them and how long it could last.
And not bad today, just a shower or two in spots after we got through the heavier rain earlier in the morning. And the next couple of days will be very similar, but we dry things out later this week. The question is, of course, will it last until the holiday weekend? I've got your 7-day after the break.
Last night on the news at 11, we told you about a strict new policy in New Britain which calls for the suspension of any student who uses profanity towards a staff member.
And tonight we've learned the new superintendent there has more ideas to keep students on their toes. In an effort to improve truancy rates, Superintendent Kelt Cooper wants local officials to think about implementing a daytime curfew for students. Cooper tells us his idea was successful in his old school district in Texas.
So they were in school or they were underground hiding at home or someplace. Yep. But they weren't walking the streets and insulting the system.
Cooper says another way to increase accountability is to implement a state statute which fines parents $25 each day their child has an unexcused absence. Cooper is encouraging the faculty to look at September 3rd, the first day of school, as a fresh start for the district. MIA, and it couldn't be worse timing. A state-funded ship with a lot of history is about to set sail to Puerto Rico right in the heart of hurricane season.
The trip comes on the heels of a multi-million-dollar renovation, and one lawmaker says the Amistad should stay docked in Connecticut. Fox Connecticut's Bo Berman has the details. Bo.
Yeah, Brent, Allison, State Representative Diana Urban fears the historic ship could be damaged in the Caribbean during hurricane season. Not to mention, it would also miss events here in Connecticut in favor of being used for a new TV miniseries about pirates. Most agree the Amistad Freedom schooner is a treasure for Connecticut, a lasting symbol of the abolition movement. But you won't be able to see the state's flagship vessel until next summer, because now it's being used for filming of an upcoming TV series called Crossbones that's shooting in Puerto Rico. State Rep Diana Urban says she questioned the move back in June.
I feel like I have been jerked around.
Urban says that Kip Bergstrom, Deputy Commissioner for the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, made her a promise. But Bergstrom says it's a simple misunderstanding and that no promise was made.
Does that sound a little bit like doublespeak to you? Because it sounds like doublespeak to me. There was no promise. Whoa. I said to him, I don't like the idea that this ship is down there in hurricane season. Who made that decision? What kind of a stupid decision was that to make? And his rejoinder was, oh, Representative, don't worry. We have an MOU that we will have very soon that ship will not be down there.
That MOU being a memo of understanding.
It wasn't that the story changed or anything else, that it was going to be delayed and then it turned out not to be delayed.
This is Long Wharf Pier in New Haven, the home port for the Amistad. But as you can see behind me, the ship's not here. Representative Urban says that presents not only safety concerns during hurricane season, but that it also violates a contract.
Contractually, they are supposed to be in Connecticut through Labor Day.
Bergstrom says the DECD found out a month ago the production on the show would start in September. Yet Urban says he never told her of the change. The last she heard from him, it wouldn't leave until December. She only found out the truth when she called Amistad's offices to see if the ship could be used for Taste of Mystic on September 4th.
Seriously, if you and I had had this conversation and then the ship, the production company changed their mind, wouldn't it be incumbent upon you to call the legislator and tell her that things had changed.
We asked Bergstrom whether he alerted Urban of the change when he found out last month.
No, maybe we should have done that. I think that might have eliminated some of this misunderstanding.
Now, Representative Urban says next time she'll get any statements that are made to her in writing to avoid any confusion. The Amistad will receive $250,000 for its use in this mini-series, and Bergstrom says it's protected by hurricane insurance. Bo Berman, Fox, Connecticut.
It'll likely get worse before it gets better. Federal scientists believe a measles-like virus is killing hundreds of dolphins along the East Coast. More than 330 Atlantic bottlenose dolphins have washed up on beaches between New York and North Carolina since early July. There was a similar outbreak 25 years ago. Scientists predict the deaths will continue until next spring.
Look at this big bubbly mess in Vegas. Some residents waking up to mounds of foam in their yards this week. It's been spewing out of storm drains. It's 4 feet high and 40 feet wide in some areas. The foamy problem began after flooding on Sunday, and city crews believe the culprit is leftover fire retardant in the drainage system, which was used to fight the Carpenter wildfire last month.
Warm and humid tonight, some patchy fog developing as temperatures approach the dew point, and it is going to be humid the next couple of days. If you're looking for a break from that, Friday's your day. It will decrease just slightly for one day, and then I think it will return as we head through the weekend. Temperatures tonight dropping down to the mid to upper 60s. Again, patchy fog. In some cases, it could be locally dense, otherwise humid. One thing I didn't put in the wording here that I just want to tell you about, an isolated shower. We actually have one that's approaching Stafford at this time and Union at this time from Massachusetts. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing here, what happens is when there's nothing going on, the National Weather Service radars go into hypersensitivity mode or clear air mode, and they actually pick up on things like dust and pollen in the air, and then our computers delete them. So that's why it looks like they pop up for a second and then the computer catches on and kind of deletes it. And that was the case for a lot of the stuff surrounding these showers to the north. But this stuff is real and is moving toward the Connecticut border at this time. A brief shower possible. Still, most of the state stays dry. This looks very similar to last night, at least earlier than 24 hours ago, except I think the majority of this is going to head to the south of Connecticut and break apart. So I'm not really concerned about it overnight tonight. But here's the setup. We have this front that's separating the cooler, drier air to the northeast and the really hot stuff to the south and west. Today in D.C., just south of the front, temperatures were in the mid-90s. We're not going to get there, but we will experience the humidity. Tomorrow we'll start off the day with clouds and fog. The clouds will only be very early on just because we'll see moisture move in overnight. And then we'll break for partly sunny skies. It's actually a nice summer day. We'll just have to watch for a few pop-up showers or a thunderstorm in spots as we head into the afternoon. And the same is true for Thursday too. We'll do it all over again. We'll start off the day with some low clouds, fog, maybe even some drizzle, break for partly sunny skies, and then we'll have another chance for a passing shower or a storm in the afternoon. Not a big deal. Probably about 50% of the state sees one, but again, not every town gets wet. Less humid on Friday as high pressure builds in. Again, that was the less humid air mass I was telling you about, but it does not stick around for long. I think it will turn a little bit more steamy as we head through the weekend. Early fog tomorrow at the bus stop. Temperatures right around the 70-degree mark. High temperatures tomorrow in the lower to mid-80s. And looking at the Atlantic, there's not a lot going on. The only thing I can show you here is a cluster of thunderstorms that has about a 10% chance off the Florida Straits of becoming a tropical system. 10% chance is pretty low, so take that bet that it's probably not going to happen. So I think things will ramp up as we head through the month of September, as they usually do, but I'm also seeing signs that we will see that pattern become more active. Fox Connecticut 7-day forecast, again, more of the same the next couple of days. Dry Friday. You'll notice I changed things up a little bit for the weekend. It looks worse than it is, but there is a chance for a shower or thunderstorm in spots Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and Monday too. Now, looking at the latest data, there's a sign that we could end up maybe just seeing a chance for a shower or storm on 2 out of the 3 days. I will definitely be looking at this nonstop because it's important. 3-day weekend, unofficial end of summer, I'm on it. And as soon as I get a handle on things, I'll let you know.
Seems like it's been an overly humid summer all summer long, doesn't it?
Really, I mean, July, it was a testament to that because we had all of those temperatures that were above 70, which means we had a lot of moisture in the air. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Rachel.
Low temperatures above 70. That's what I mean.
Yes. All right, up next, a burning inferno. Firefighters out west make some progress, but still have a long way to go.
And we typically think of the internet as a way to connect computers, but researchers say they sent brain signals successfully. That's ahead at 11.
Tonight, firefighters are making some headway in Northern California, where the Rim wildfire has decimated 180,000 acres in the last 11 days. But it is still an uphill battle. The wildfire is only about 20% contained, and federal funding is running out. Add to that those working on the front lines who are still grappling with dangerous conditions.
The biggest concern is that obviously you see these large trees out here. So we have a lot of those trees that are dropping, they're falling in isolated areas. So our firefighters really have to be heads up while they're out there putting water on the fire.
And just to get an idea of how big this fire is, check out this picture from the International Space Station yesterday. Fortunately, Yosemite National Park remains untouched by the blaze. Be flexible. Those were the departing words of Secretary of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano today.
In her farewell speech, Napolitano had some words of advice for her yet-to-be-named successor.
In a world of evolving threats, the key to our success is the ability to be flexible and agile and adapt to changing circumstances on the ground, whether that's across the globe or here at home.
Napolitano also warned of a massive cyber attack in the U.S. and an unprecedented natural disaster, and she told her replacement to bring a large bottle of Advil. Napolitano is leaving her post to become president of the University of California system. She was the nation's third Homeland Security secretary and first female in both this role and her upcoming one in California.
What the government wants, the government gets, and Facebook says governments from around the world have demanded information on about 38,000 users this year alone. Half of the requests came from U.S. authorities. It wasn't long ago Edward Snowden revealed practically every major internet company hands over your information. Fresh off his acquittal for the murder of Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman wants the state of Florida to pony up the cash for his legal expenses.
His attorneys plan to ask for at least $200,000, though it's doubtful they'll receive anywhere near that sum. The money will cover expert witnesses, travel expenses, and transcript fees during the murder trial. The request is quite common under Florida law. Casey Anthony, who was charged with murdering her 2-year-old daughter, filed a similar one after her acquittal in 2011.
French fry lovers really can have it their way. Up next, the typical burgers and fries experience without all the caloric and monetary guilt. In case ordering a side of fries is too much trouble, Burger King is rolling it into one menu offering, clocking in at just $1.
The French fry burger is a single patty with exactly 4 fries on top. It will go on sale for only $1 next month. The French fry burger packs 360 calories and 19 grams of fat. For some comparison, a small order of fries alone has 15 grams of fat.
And over at Mickey D's, the Big Mac and Chicken McNugget are about to get some company on the menu. Chicken wings. The limited time rollout begins next month. The Mighty Wings, as they're called, will be bone-in wings, breaded and seasoned with cayenne and chili pepper, topped with one of 9 choices of sauce.
Here we go again with the food stories. Did the Red Sox pay too much for Shane Victorino and Mike Napoli? Yes, but as I've said before, those two, as well as Johnny Gomes, helped change the culture of their clubhouse. And let's not forget, they can play a little bit as well. Tonight against Baltimore, Napoli going deep for the 17th time this season, clear out of Fenway. Victorino went one better. He hit a pair, driving in 7 runs on the night. The Red Sox crushed Baltimore 13-2 the final. It wouldn't be the Yankees if someone didn't get hit by a pitch. Robinson Cano this time. X-rays were negative. He's day-to-day. Alfonso Soriano made them pay 2 home runs, including the 400th of his career. A-Rod and Mark Reynolds also went deep in the 7-1 victory in Toronto. The Mets dealt Marlon Byrd and John Buck to Pittsburgh for a minor leaguer and a player to be named later. They still have John Neese, though, who pitched and hit the Mets to victory tonight in the 6th. Neese blew open a close game with a bases-loaded, base-clearing double. On the hill, he pitched a complete game 3-hit shutout as the Mets beat Philadelphia 5-0. Eastern League, it was the Rockettes losing at Trenton 5-1. New York Penn League in Norwich, the Hudson Valley Renegades beat the Tigers by the count of 7-4. That's sports in 61 seconds. I'm Rich Capole. Allison.
Thank you, Rich. Talk about using your noggin. Researchers say they've performed the first ever brain-to-brain interface. Have no idea what that means. It's pretty amazing, and it's next.
What you're feeling, tell me what's on your mind.
Researchers have performed what they believe is the first non-invasive human-to-human brain interface.
One researcher was able to send a brain signal via the internet to control the hand motions of a fellow researcher, which, if you think about it, it's a little spooky.
Yeah.
The professor watched a video game screen and, using his brain, says he made his assistant hit the space bar when it was time to fire a missile. Those brain signals were sent to a device that magnetically simulated the part of his assistant's brain which controls his right hand.
Researchers say the brain signals used in this case were pretty basic. They can't transfer thoughts, and they were only transmitted one way. How cool would it be if I could transmit to get you to read all the stories and just back out the door?
Cool for you. Spooky for me. All right, one more look at the weather here, Rach.
All right, guys, because I can, I'm going to show you the one shower that's now popped up in the state. The green that you see for most of the state, that's not it. It's the one that's around Holland and Stafford. There's just nothing going on, so the radar's in hypersensitivity mode. But overall, tomorrow, the next couple of days, humid, chance for a shower, storm in spots, most of the time dry.
You do not look concerned.
I'm not. That's not my concern face.
Okay, then. Thank you, Rach. And that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us.
For the latest news, weather, and traffic, tune in tomorrow morning beginning at 4:30. Good night.